the poverty cycle through education. Projects in Cambodia. A non-government organisation led entirely and managed by the students. So this father and daughter's work in Cambodia is based on the 3 pillars of education, empowerment and inspiration. So that's just amazing. The Cambodian Rural Students Trust, Rotary Passport Melbourne, we're finding out all about these things, and the Rotoract Club of Siam Reap have impacted thousands.
Siam Reap.
Sorry. Forgive me.
There's always one name.
Impacting thousands of lives as they educate future leaders. So could you please welcome Jessica and Aviv.
I wasn't sure. You started it.
Very easy mistake to make. The first time we went to Siam Reap, I rang up the travel agent and I said, I would like to get some tickets to Siam Reap. It's exactly what I said. And he said, I don't know where that is. So we negotiated to the fact that it was in Cambodia, and he said, oh, you mean Siam Reap? And the rest of it is history. Very easy one to make. Good morning, everybody. My name is Aviv. I'm the president of Rotary Passport Melbourne. This is Jess, who's our public image director of Rotary Passport Melbourne. And thank you, President John, for allowing us to join you on this meeting this morning and share a little bit of what we do. Both the Rotary Passport and the projects that we support specifically in Cambodia. A passport club is quite a new idea to Rotary, and a lot of Rotarians don't really know what a passport club is. What is the difference between a passport club and an e-club? So e-clubs tend to be clubs that are located in a same region, typically the same district. Members get together online and have the fellowship and coordinate what they wish to do. And their activities tend to be focused on social activities. They are activities outside the computer screen, which they do in community. Passport clubs are quite different. Our members are actually spread across the world, and we've got members in 6 different countries. We all meet together on Zoom. In our situation, we decided that we're now meeting once a month on Zoom. And the reason we do that is because all of our members come with projects and join the club. So they are embedded in country. Our members include obviously members in Australia, but also Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste, Cambodia, Nepal, and we have a member in Rome in Italy. And everybody does projects in country. In the case of Italy, she actually does projects in Africa. And we talk to each other on Zoom and other means on a regular basis. So there's no need for us to meet every week as a club. When we have club meetings, they're on Zoom, we have an interesting speaker, and everybody comes in from wherever they are. So what makes us unique is that we are really focused on projects in country and doing them in a sustainable way to build in-country capacity. And most of our projects are overseas, although we do have some community projects in Australia. Typically, we do a couple of community projects based in our own local community as well. And when we meet, that's what our meetings look like. We typically have between 30 and 50 members join. And not only are our club members, but other guests as well. That's Jessie Harmon, who's our guest speaker, second on the right on the top. She was an RI director. Next week on Wednesday, we have Celeste Mergens, who's the founder of Days for Girls International, which is an international NGO that has empowered almost just reached, I think, 3 million girls around the world by providing them with sustainable feminine hygiene kits so they can keep coming to school while having their periods. So we're expecting probably 50 to 60 guests to join for that. So that's typically what our club meetings look like. And as I said, every club member brings projects to the club and we work on them together using our experience. We're able to share what we've done before and how we can work things together to make them more impactful. And then we can replicate a lot of our work. So a lot of the work we're going to discuss in a minute that we do in Cambodia, we're already starting to work on Timor-Leste and take those learnings and implement in there. And just last night we met with a member in another club who's working on one of your district projects in Madagascar. Is that right, Jess? Yeah. And we are looking to how we can cross-hibernate what we do in Cambodia with the project as well, which to us is exactly what Rotary is all about. So our family journey started in Cambodia in 2009. We, as you can see, I don't have any Khmer heritage, but we decided to go to Cambodia because our youngest daughter, Jess is our older daughter, our youngest daughter, Steph, she was 14 at the time, and nowadays she's 28. She's a mental health clinician, which is a very desirable skill in our society. She was 14, she wanted to volunteer on a school trip to go and build houses in rural Cambodia. She took the paperwork to school on Monday. The school principal said, no, this was due last Friday, you miss out. Listen, in life for you, when your paperwork's late, you miss out. Steph came back home, obviously very upset. She's worked up the courage to go to Cambodia without mum and dad to build houses. And we workshopped the problem over dinner, as we often did. And Jess came up with the idea, why don't we go to Cambodia together and we'll volunteer together. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at building houses, and as the girls keep reminding me, I can't even put together IKEA furniture without supervision. Who can, exactly. I have no idea whether to follow printing the instructions, right? So we decided that we won't do that. Steph went, we went to the computer, Steph Googled 14-year-old volunteer Cambodia, all of these sites came up. She said, I think I like this one. It's a free English school in the countryside, and we could teach English. 2 months later, 6 of us flew to Cambodia, and those 2 weeks we spent there changed our lives. We walked into school at 6:30 in the morning. There were 60 to 70 students waiting for us in the classroom. And they were sitting 3 or 4 to a desk, more students on the floor, more looking in through the side windows, the barred windows on the side, really soaking up the education we provided them those 2 weeks. And we learned that those students were the children of the survivors of the Khmer Rouge regime. And the Khmer Rouge, as many of you may recall, closed schools, closed universities, burnt books, expelled citizens from the cities to the countryside in their vision of a communist agrarian society. And in the Khmer Rouge period of the ensuing civil war, 25% of the population of Cambodia, 2 million people, died in the genocide and left an entire generation of Cambodians uneducated. And that illiterate generation are our students' parents. And so they send their kids to school early in the morning, understanding that they may help to break their family's poverty cycle. Because without education, the parents could only use their bodies to earn money for their families. So they'd be labouring in the fields, or they'd be labouring at construction sites, in the searing heat, in the pouring rain, often getting sick, dying prematurely. So they valued the concept of education. We returned to Cambodia, excuse me, a few more times over the next 2 years. We volunteered at the same school and finally decided the best way to make sustainable change would be to set up our own NGO, non-government organisation in Cambodia. So we registered the Cambodia Rural Student Trust with the Ministry of Interior. We returned to the school with permission from the school director. We announced that we have an NGO registered, and any students who wish to accept a scholarship from us, we would pay for them to relocate to Siam Reap, the nearest town, and finish their high school in a private high school. We would then support them to go to a private university and get a bachelor degree. And we would provide them a monthly stipend so they can actually look after themselves and move away to live from their families and continue their education. 22 students went home, came back the next day and said, Mum and Dad said it's okay. They're what we call Generation 1 in the NGO. You'll see where they are today, some of those. But fast forward to today, we've got 104 students in the NGO. They include students who are in the last 3 years of high school, bachelor degree, and we've got 30 students who are now doing their master degrees in Phnom Penh as well. And each year, as the students graduate, we accept 5 to 15 students because this NGO is quite unique. It is entirely led and managed by the students of the NGO. So we teach these students how to lead and manage an organisation that looks after all the students, but also has educational social enterprises. We've got a senior leadership team, a junior leadership team, and an infrastructure. Every student has got multiple roles to play in the NGO. And we explained to the early generation students that it's a bit like running a government. There's a Prime Minister, and then there are different portfolios for education, health, volunteering, community service. And so every student has got multiple portfolios they're a part of. As we mentor them, Jess and I do the mentoring on how to lead and manage the NGO. These are the 3 pillars of the NGO: education, empowerment, inspiration. Because we tell our students that we're not here to colonise Cambodia, we're here to empower Cambodians to help themselves. So it's really up to us to provide them education so they can empower themselves and inspire others in society to actually understand that we can do this. We don't have to wait for foreigners to come and help us. We don't have to wait for our government to do everything. We, the people, this is why we belong to Rotary, we can do a lot of things that really empower our community. And the first activities we did were what we call the community service activity. So this particular department in the NGO has got 6 members. Their role starts with a community assessment. They go to the countryside, they speak to village chiefs and villagers, identify a family that is really living in very poor conditions, and we build them a house in just 1 day. The students, the house is obviously pre-planned, all of the timber is cut, it's delivered to site, then we utilise the timber, the floor is made from bamboo, the sides of the house are made from palm leaves, and on the top zinc iron roof. The students arrive on site at 6:30 in the morning, by 4:30 or 5 o'clock the house is built, the family moves in. And some of these students have an incredible amount of energy. They return to town and play football, soccer, in the afternoon after that. I have no idea where they get that from. But they really are very, very inspirational in the way they divide the roles up and everybody works together as a team. Down here on the bottom, you can see this is the shack that this particular family lives in, and you can see it's basically made of tarpaulins. You can imagine at the end of the day, this family moves in to a house. If there are students in the family, we support them with bicycles to get to school, school supplies, school uniforms, because the core of everything we do, including Passport Melbourne, is education. How do we feed into education so we can empower the next generation of social leaders? This is our next project which we set up. It's a family support program, and the family support team has got 3 permanent members plus volunteers that help, identifying people who live in the countryside who require our support because they don't have anybody else to support them. These could be elderly with their family, people who are differently abled intellectually or physically, and abandoned mothers, and people really have no one else to give them the support. We provide them monthly food and essential needs supplies, enabling them to understand they're not alone, and if there are students in the family, we support them to go to school as well. As the NGO grew, we added more enterprises of what we call projects to the NGO, and this was on our first one, Project G, Empowering Girls. Each of these is focused on a social need. We don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, well, let's do another enterprise. It's determined by the students in Cambodia that we have a need in society and we can help resolve this problem. In rural Cambodia, girls are not valued as much as boys because if there's limited money, many families would rather educate the boy. Ultimately, he'll go and get a job and look after the family, whereas she will just be married, have kids and stay at home. Of course, we don't share the same vision in our developed world, and the students identified we should encourage more girls to come to school. And one of the problems holding girls back is that each month when they have their period, they've got no means of managing their period. So therefore they stay home for a few days every month. And after you miss a few days of school every month, you ultimately drop out of school because you say, well, I can never catch up again. This particular project aligned ourselves with Days for Girls, an international NGO. We sew sustainable hygiene kits in Siam Reap, and then we educate boys and girls, high school students in the countryside, about the reproductive system. We talk about menstruation, we talk about the fact that without it we wouldn't have society, and really normalise the conversation. And we also talk about women empowerment and human trafficking, which is still a problem in rural Cambodia. We educate both boys and girls, and then each of the girls we educate receives the Days for Girls Project G kit, which is designed to last them for 3 to 5 years, enabling them to come to school on a regular basis. So far, we've educated 18,000 students in rural Cambodia and distributed over 12,000 kits. This year alone, we're going to be educating an additional 6,000 students and distributing additional 4,000 kits. And these are big numbers. These are 12 and another 16,000 girls who would have normally not been able to continue coming to school. Another project we set up is Project B, Bicycles for Education. The team identified that lots of students walk for 1 to 2 hours a day, again in the scorching sun or the pouring rain to get to school. And a lot of them drop out because after 1 or 2 hours walking to school, you really get to a point where you say, I just can't do this anymore, my family needs money, I'll go and get a job. We do an assessment, which I'll share with you in a moment. We distribute between 500 and 600 bicycles every year to students in the countryside. And we also set up a mobile bike mechanic workshop, what we call an MBM. All of our students have been trained on how to repair bicycles, and we repair about 1,000 bicycles for all students every year. And as you can see, the girls love this activity. It's culturally not the norm for girls to fix bikes in Cambodia, but gender equality means the girls can choose to do what they want to do, and they've all been trained on how to repair a bike. And they become inspirational to the rural students they interact with, because they are their older brothers and sisters. They're the ones who've come up from the same challenging circumstances and have been able, through education, empower themselves and pay it forward to the next generation. Project L, the students identified a need with families that don't have electricity in the countryside. There are 350 villages in Cambodia that don't have electricity. We distribute solar study lights to students in rural Cambodia. We also distribute study supplies and teach them about health, hygiene, nutrition and the environment, so that the students get a workshop out of this in addition to these essential needs that they have. These lights are donated to us by Solar Buddy organisation. This year we'll distribute 3,000 solar study lights, and next year we've just got our 3,000 to distribute as well, which is absolutely fantastic. This changes the family's life because these lights last for up to 16 hours. So the student is able to read at home, do their homework at home, but the whole family gets the benefit of the solar light as well. Project W, Wash for Education, through another project that we have, which is a project based on the environment, single-use plastic. is a massive problem in Cambodia. So we've been educating, at the end of this year we'll finish educating 40,000 high school students about the impact of single-use plastic on the environment and how to manage end-of-life single-use plastic. And through that project, we started distributing aluminium bottles to stop using plastic bottles. And one school said to the team, we don't have clean water, so thank you for the bottles, but we don't have anything to do with it. The students then did a community assessment and worked with the Department of Education in the province, found out that 54 out of 97 high schools in the province have no clean water. Imagine your son and daughter walking to school for 1 or 2 hours and arriving at school and there's no clean water to drink. Imagine your child going to school and having to use 2 toilets between 500 students and having to defecate in the open field and come back and not be able to wash their hands. So Project W, Wash for Education, Water Sanitation Hygiene, provides water filtration system, sufficient toilets and also a rubbish incinerator for schools in rural Cambodia, as well as the wash educational workshops. And the water that we put through the filtration system is available for the whole community to use. So we actually are impacting a lot of people. We did a pilot project of 4 schools with a couple of district international grants. We've seen increased productivity of the school, increased school attendance, and the whole community valued the school because they could come and get the water from the school. We've now, in fact, on this weekend, we'll be submitting a global grant application for another 8 schools. And thank you to your district for supporting that global grant application. It's really going to make a massive difference. By the time we finish this whole project, 54 schools, there'll be 2 more global grants to follow. We'll have impacted 40,000 students, giving them clean water, enough toilets for the first time. And with the clean water that's accessible to the community, that's another 100,000 Cambodians in the countryside that have never had clean water that can come and access that from the water, from the school. These are big numbers. These are community changing numbers. And of course, underlying all of that is the vital mindset that education will change your life and making the school really the center of the activities. And this is the last project I'll share with you, which is Project T. It's our newest project, Trees for Life, identifying the need to plant more trees in rural Cambodia, and students identify the communities living in pretty much desolate land. And we have partnered with a number of organisations to be able to plant these trees in Cambodia. In schools, we plant smaller type trees. In the community, we plant trees that are 4 or 5 years old, so they'll reach maturity in 3 or 4 years and be able to accelerate the process. And we expect to plant 1,000 trees in Cambodia within a year, which is great, and that'll be probably an ongoing project. So how do we do it? How do we end up with a bunch of university students leading an NGO, leading all of these projects, and be able to do it day in, day out? We teach our students as a 5-step process. Dream big. If you've got an idea, if you want to do something, make it the biggest possible idea you have. You can always bring it back if you need to. So dream big, plan, act, correct, continue. So built into our vision is the fact that every activity needs to be planned. You don't just go out there and do it. The next thing is you've got to take action. Without that, nothing happens. And then we do a monitoring and evaluation, correct and continue. What have we done well? What can we do better next time? Every activity that we have just follows that process. It's now a part of the DNA. And whether it's a group meeting or whether it's a discussion about something at the university, there's always an evaluation. And we teach these life skills because when the students graduate, they take those skills away with them, which is critical. Last year we supported, in August last year, we supported the charter of the Rotoract Club of Siam Reap. The sponsor club is the Rotary Club of Bangkok and the Rotary Club of Phnom Penh Metro. And Rotary Passport Melbourne supported the charter. 54 NGO members were the charter members, and this year they're attracting their university friends to join the club. So they join their volunteer activities, and then they see the Rotary vision of creating change in the world and bringing hope to lots of people as we expand the vision of Rotary, and hence the connection between us as a family, the NGO we founded, Rotary, Rotaract, and the impact which we create. This is a process we follow. Everything starts with a thorough community needs assessment. As I said, we don't wake up and say, here's a good idea, let's go and do it. We actually find out in country what's required. In the case of Bicycles for Education, we meet with the school directors, the senior teachers, we interview the students, we then interview the students' families, ensuring that the child continues to come to school. We meet with the village chief to make sure he knows that family may get a bicycle so that it could be well utilised. And then ultimately the student receives a bicycle, which changes their life completely. Because not only does the student get to school, quite often on the back of the bike, the sibling will hop on the bike and go to school as well. And if one student starts in the morning, their neighbour or their friend will study in the afternoon, and they'll be able to utilise the bike as well. So these bikes are very well used. Project W, Wash for Education, a very thorough community assessment gets done. We evaluate what the school already has in infrastructure, because we don't need to buy things if they already have them. We may need to be able to repair, but there's no need to buy from scratch. Does the school have a water supply? Is the water supply consistent in the dry season and the wet season? Will the biosand filtration system be able to clean the water so it's potable? And we also assess who else is around that school that's going to support our activities. We then put together how many boys are in the school, how many girls, so we have the right toilet ratios between boys and girls to the United Nations 2-star process. And we then implement the project. You can just make out the logo here. We work with Engineers Without Borders in Cambodia, the Australian NGO, that provide a lot of technical support for our students. Because mentoring doesn't just come from us, it comes from anybody we can engage with to share the knowledge. So by the time we do this, we actually have a lot of knowledge about the school. There's an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which gets signed between the school director, the village chief, the commune chief, and the Rotoract Club president, so that everybody knows who does what and whose responsibility it is. Because once we've done the installation, the school and the community takes care of all the equipment, and everybody knows that's their responsibility, and the Rotaract Club provides the oversight. Annual plans, every project has an annual plan. By month, what are we doing, what are the activities, and then every month has a monthly plan of all the activities, and every project has an implementation report. So any of our stakeholders engage with us, receive these reports every time a project is done, where we were, who the beneficiaries were, how many, who delivered the education or the process, what we taught, what we delivered, what we did well, what we can do better next time, and of course the photos that go with it. And we share that also online. And so as we do all of these activities, this is all done by the students. So I say a lot of we, it's not just an I doing this, we mentor, they do, and that's how you learn, by doing. So very regular on social media. The Rotoract Club of Siam Reap has got a very active Facebook page, and they post and they show gratitude to any stakeholders, whether it's individuals, clubs, corporates, who support particular activities, giving the recognition that's needed. All of the projects fall in within Rotary's 7 areas of focus. You can see 6 listed here, but of course the 7th being peace. Once you create harmony in society, the rest of it just follows, and people understand that we work well together. So everything falls under the Rotary umbrella, and that's how 54 Rotaractors engage and inspire over 20,000 rural students every year, becoming role models to show them that this is the power of inspiration, of education, and becoming an inspiration to who they are. These are my favourite slides. It's what we call proof of concept. This is where they were and where are they now. These are students when they joined the NGO and what they're doing these days. And I'll go through just a couple of them. Sreng joined us out of high school. You can see him there with his mum in the village. He studied a degree in management information systems. His first job with KPMG Cambodia as an IT auditor. He was there for 2 years, ended up as a senior IT auditor. Later this year, next month, he's graduating with an MBA from the American University of Phnom Penh. 3 months ago, he was poached by the Ministry of Finance to come and work for them in Cambodia. So that's totally incredible for a village kid to be able to make those milestones in life. Next to him is Sinien. Sinien joined us in high school. She's now finishing or studying her MBA. She is working as a country manager for We Do, a Women's Empowerment International NGO. And next to her is Nuk. Nuk is our first NGO manager. He's there in grade 12. Imagine somebody coming to you in grade 12 and saying, we'd like you to be your first NGO manager, and we're going to give you job descriptions, performance indicators, and how you can become the best you can be. Today, he runs his own real estate business in Phnom Penh. He employs 20 people. He sponsors 2 students in the NGO and 1 house build every year. Because these students understand their responsibility is to develop their society, that we are here to give them a hand up, not a handout, and they can then pay it forward and create that ripple effect that everybody gets the benefit. Briefly, Dani is now an English teacher. She's studied teaching English as a second language, and she's working at ACE, the Australian Centre for Education, Siam Reap. Barang is studying his MBA. He's now working for the United Nations in Phnom Penh. And Sinun is also studying her MBA, and she's a project manager for Youth Empowerment NGO in Cambodia. Financially, this is what it looks like. Minimum wage in Cambodia is $200 a month. Subsistence farmers are between $150 and $250 depending on the crops. When students graduate from a bachelor degree, they typically enter the market, national average is $350 a month. Our students enter the market at over $600 a month because they've had the ability to practice their skills and run these projects, and leadership, management, communication are essential needs. And within 2 years, they're at over $900 a month, which takes them from poverty to middle class in just 7 or 8 years. Through the skills that they've learned and the fact that they could practice what they do. We have an annual salary survey for our alumni. That's where we get these figures from. And so every year we interview the alumni and find out where they're at, because to us it's really important to see that what we're doing is sustainable change. Education is a process, it's not an event. It's not a barbecue and you've done it and off you go. This is something you've got to keep on doing and building on. And this is the proof that that is worth the investment because the results really are social changing. Helen Keller's words that alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, which is why Jess and I are happy to share what we do with Rotary clubs. Some clubs wish to engage, other clubs wish to get the inspiration. And everything that we do, all of the material that we have is what we call open source. If you've got projects you'd like to use it for, let us know. We're happy to share the templates with you. Everything is very systemized to enable the students to help themselves and really get empowered through what they do in life. This is a project which Rotary Passport Melbourne has. It's a Rotaract global scholarship program which we engage with clubs on to support one of the Rotaractors to go to university, and the student stipend is $3,000 a year. Our club pays $1,000. Sponsor clubs, if they choose to come into the program, pay $2,000, and then those sponsor clubs receive a monthly email from the Rotaractor telling you what they've done with their studies, what they've done for community and about their daily lives, sending you photos of their activities and allowing you to have hands and feet in Cambodia, coming back and telling you this is what we're doing to develop our society. You're also welcome to invite them to join you on Zoom. They are very good public speakers because they all have excellent English skills. It's an essential in the NGO. It's a life skill when you live in Cambodia. We also teach them effective public speaking. So each of our Rotaractors is trained on how to present in public, and 5 of them travel to Melbourne for the Rotary Convention, engaged with thousands of Rotarians, and Alan Smith was sufficiently impressed to say, if you come to Cambodia, we'd love to have you, because obviously he could see that they could communicate effectively as well. And you can invite them as guests or as speakers. And if you travel to Siam Reap, you're very welcome to be hosted by them, and they host Rotarians literally every week. There was somebody from Hawaii last week, somebody from WA, Western Australia this week, and more coming next week. And they're very, very good at engaging with our guests. And these are the 8 founding club members, clubs who were the members of this particular program, the Rotaract Scholarship Program, allowing them to interact with the Rotaractors in Siam Reap. And we encourage that interaction because it all comes under the Rotary umbrella. That how do we create change in the world? We have to make it sustainable. It's got to start in country. And our roles are to mentor and lead future leaders to allow them to gain the skills and pay it forward to the next generation. Thank you.
You won't get away with it.
All right. I'm sorry, John, just before you go, Jess has requested I speak this morning, so she's given me the honour, but I've got to say she does more than 50% of the work. So while I'm happy to present, she's extremely powerful, an amazing role model for the girls. We've nowadays got 66% girls in the NGO and the Rotoract Club. That's how much we've been able to inspire girls to say, you've done it, so I can do it too, and just an incredible role model for them. So while I'm speaking, please don't think that Jess is incapable. She's probably much more capable than I am nowadays.
All right, thank
Great,
you very much.
thank you.
I'm going to dive in first. I'm going to cheat because there's a particular take home that I got from it, and it is about people's eyes. So when you were sitting over there, you were conveying something. Hey, this is going to be fun to see our reactions for what you have to say,
right?
Which is exactly what you ended up with. The other thing is the early photo that you had of the class as a whole.
Yes.
There was a whole lot of people, particularly the young ones, sitting there for a photo.
Right.
The leadership group, you can see it in their eyes that they've got.
Right.
And that was a thing right through all of that, particularly the leadership ones.
Right.
You know, they really did have it, and you can see that going all the way through to the eyes. Questions?
Do you have any projects with the other most vulnerable group, and that's what I was going to ask about very young children, but elders. How are elders, what sort of supports are there for them?
There are very few supports. They're community supports only for the elderly in rural Cambodia, especially ones that have no other family.
Yeah.
It tends to be that they forced to the community to help them. But you and I can't probably imagine elders in our community taking a bowl of rice and walking house to house to house, and hopefully someone will give you some rice, which is all about dignity and value. And so that's why we started the family support program, identifying who needs help and we can support. And it's not just the food and essential needs supplies, it's the fellowship, it's the camaraderie that a young adult is coming to spend half an hour with you. And it gives you something to look forward to, that once a month somebody's going to come and have a chat with you about life. So that's the support which we provide the elders in the community and engaging with them. And as we find out about them, we add more to our family support program as a result.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With the bicycles, do you get sponsorship for the bicycles?
We do. So Gabby, we started thinking about bringing in second-hand bicycles from Japan, but that already exists in Cambodia. Japanese bicycles are very well made, and when we buy them from China, unfortunately they're not as well made for the Cambodian rural roads, which are potholes and not sealed. So we buy second-hand Japanese bicycles in Siam Reap, and we get to choose the ones we want, which is the big advantage. So if this one needs too much fixing, we won't take it, but this one's okay to take. And then the bicycles are all sponsored, that's exactly right. So is it $50, Jess? 70 Australian dollars, roughly $50 per bicycle. We get those sponsored. So typically they'd be sponsored by individuals, Rotary clubs. We haven't any corporate sponsor this, that's typically where the funding comes from. And as we get the bicycles, we've just had 40 bicycles donated by, of all places, the Embassy of Israel in Bangkok. Now that was pledged before the war, I have to say, and they've carried through the pledge despite the war, which I certainly respect them for. But their vision was to share humanity, and I know that what's happening right now is very confronting, but their vision is that people can help people all over the world, and those 40 bicycles will get distributed all the same. But in the same context, we've got Rotary clubs that sponsor them and individuals that sponsor them as well. As people do, those reports that I showed earlier come back to the benefactors and say, thank you for supporting so many bicycles in this school. Here's the activity, here are the students, and it really changes their life. So yeah, each of these projects does get sponsored by individuals or corporates or clubs. The Solar Study, the Solar Buddy Light program is sponsored this year by the Rotary Club of Calgary at Stampede Park. They wanted to engage and said, what can we do? And we said this particular project would require about $7,200 for the year. Those funds, as I said, the lights are donated to us. Those funds are basically used for a distribution. Each distribution is about $1,200. About $250 of that goes to transportation, hiring a bus, because those schools are 3 or 4 hours away, and the lunches for the Rotaractors, and the remainder, the other $900, is for the school supplies, for the students that we deliver the school supplies to. So it really all goes to community. There is, I should have said this as well. Our family pays all the overheads for the NGO, so 100% of the money that goes in goes to education and projects. There's no 5-10% that goes out for admin or marketing. We pay our own way to come here. We don't charge any of that because that's a part of our contribution. So when somebody engages with us, they receive all the receipts and it's 100% accountable. The NGO is a registered charity in Australia. We are registered with the Charities Commission, also in the United States. We have an independent board, we're audited, so it's just like running a not-for-profit business. But all the overheads are paid by us, so 100% of benefactors' funds go to exactly what they're meant to go for.
Excellent.
The St John's Club Ambassador project, I was the District Foundation Chair when that started, so I have an idea of it. Of course, one of the things that they built into it was that self-sustaining operation from the students going forward, which does seem to be working quite well.
Right.
And you did mention it in your project, if you've got a good return, a good input from students that have, once they've departed and are in a place to support go back to school or university?
Absolutely. So what we do is we leave it up to the students. There's no obligation, you owe us nothing. The social debt is to society through community projects. But all the students in Phnom Penh, I wouldn't say all, maybe 90% of the students in Phnom Penh are already sponsoring and co-sponsoring students in the NGO. They understand it's their responsibility to keep the NGO going. So while we can get it going at the beginning, they will really take over as time goes on. But we've got to keep in mind that these are young adults who've got impoverished families still sitting in families in the countryside. Hence, we don't make it mandatory to sponsor students in the NGO when you reach a certain income. So they will send money back to mum and dad on the farm at home to help them. They sponsor younger siblings to be able to go to school, extended family members, and they also sponsor additional students in the NGO.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. I'm probably going to have to draw it to a conclusion there. What we will do as a token of our appreciation, both for the work that you do and for coming along and speaking to us, and this is not the thanks part, but our Sunshine Fund that we do every meeting will go towards your cause.
Great, thank you.
I'll be willing to talk to you as to how the nuts and bolts of that happen, but
That's fantastic, I appreciate it. Thank you. And
all right,
thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming along. Make us all feel very guilty about how little we do, but yeah, it's amazing. set up there. And, yeah, just ask our group to tackle the usual way.
Thank you.